looking for trouble, you came to the right place. If you're looking for trouble, just look right in my face.
Musical biopics are a genre of film that has been on the mainstream rise these past few years, starting with the critically acclaimed and well-received Bohemian Rhapsody in 2018, Taron Egerton being scarily similar looking to a young Elton John in Rocketman in 2019, and now this year brings us a brand new biopic following the life and times of Elvis Presley titled simply Elvis. I'd have gone with Jailhouse Rock to match the previous naming convention personally, but what do I know? I'm just a funny disembodied voice on the internet. The film is told in a different style than those that came before it, being mostly framed from Tom Hanks' character's point of view, and how Colonel Parker was actually framed as the bad guy in Elvis's story, that Elvis would have been nothing without him, and how he made him the man that he was, and now he plans to tell the whole truth now that he's on his deathbed. It does eventually even out into more of a standard film format going forward, however, but his narration remains constant throughout. This isn't the most unconventional of framing devices that a film has used, but when you realise the director is Baz Luhrmann, it all of a sudden becomes very clear why. The man who directed both Moulin Rouge and one of the most accurate to the Shakespearean script adaptations of Romeo and Juliet to date can only really be described as a bit of an eccentric. The film features a solid minute of Austin Butler violently shaking his hips with the camera zoomed all the way in on his crotch. I mean, that thing is deep in there. Overall, the scene as a whole is great, as it really helps to emphasize the impression that Elvis was leaving on people during his performances, as well as how the Colonel discovered the young man's talent. But the way that camera's framed, man, had me sat in my theater seat feeling like, the plot of this film is kinda all over the place. The first 30 minutes are spent jumping back and forward between numerous time periods to explain the many nuances of Elvis's character, which to the average filmgoer will leave them scratching their heads as to which year we're meant to currently be in. The film covers the rise of Elvis, the return of Elvis, and the unfortunate decline, and just casually skips over the part where he was actually famous. We never truly see him as the king, instead focusing more on the key turning points in his life, such as his mother's death, being conscripted into the military, and the ongoing discourse his concerts were having in the Deep South. It's not unheard of for films like this to miss out several years of a person's life if things were going great and focus only on the darker sides of their careers, but even Rocketman managed to strike a good balance between the uplifting nature of Elton's concerts and his spiraling out of control home life. They do touch on Elvis's history of drug abuse and the fact his wife was 14 when he met her, cough cough, but it's all bleached over with and a lot of the darker stuff is wrinkled out. The same can be said with his health problems. He suffered with them his entire life, but the film makes no reference to them in any capacity. Even his over-medication is mentioned as a brief hand sweep over a bathroom sink. While the story may have been a little bare bones emotionally, the same can't be said for the actors though. Now, for someone whose highest prolific movie was Aliens in the Attic, I wouldn't hold it against you for not knowing the name Austin Butler. I mean, it's not like he was one of the leading roles in Sharpay's Fabulous Adventure or anything, jeez. But after his performance as Elvis, I wouldn't be surprised if you start seeing his name popping up in every major production from now on. He effortlessly channels the king, giving a show-stopping performance, nailing every single part of the famed musician. His speaking voice, his singing voice, and his dancing all feel like the king of rock and roll reincarnated. He deserves every bit of praise for all of the preparation that went into taking on this role, and it's easy to forgive his lack of physical resemblance to Presley with such a jaw-dropping performance. He's already been cast to be playing Feyd-Rautha Harkonnen in Dune Part 2 before this, but after walking out of this film, all I can say to that is, Tom Hanks needs no introduction as an actor, and yet it's odd to say that this was not one of his best portrayals. Yes, he plays the conman, Colonel Tom Parker, to the letter, making you see how truly sleazy the man really was, but the way Luhrmann directed the film, it makes him come across as almost cartoonishly evil. With the manner in which he speaks to Elvis or the way in which he manages his affairs, you could easily tell something was wrong with him from almost a mile away. His prosthetics and accent during the film can make this feel like a hammy, over-the-top role, but you truly forget that Hanks is considered one of the nicest men in Hollywood, and he sinks his teeth into such a vile character so well. That's not to say he wasn't great in the film, just that his performance didn't wow me unlike his co-star. Hands down, the cinematography for the film is easily the strongest part, oozing style and creativity in almost every aspect, and Baz Luhrmann definitely deserves the credit. Yes, his films have been ridiculous and over the top at times, but the man knows how to show off style, and for that we have to be thankful. Having previously directed films such as Moulin Rouge and The Great Gatsby, he takes every bit of those films' style and substance and uses them to their fullest in Elvis. His overbearing visuals and insane camera movements are what makes this film special. Parts of the film stand on their own in just how impressive they are, but others feel like a bewildering attack on the senses, with some overblown moments designed to unnecessarily emphasize dramatic moments. The main example of this being when he sings Mountain Jack to a frenzied crowd. I'm not going to spoil what happens, but just like be prepared. Bring some eye drops or something because your eyes are going to hurt after that scene. Elvis, the king of rock and roll Presley, was well before my time, and I wouldn't have considered myself a fan under normal circumstances. I enjoy the odd song here and there, but this film has definitely made me appreciate his music a lot more. The final performance in Vegas singing Unchained Melody sent shivers down my spine, and the seamless transition from Austin to the actual Elvis performance was just chef's kiss. His health may have been in decline, but his voice could still move the hearts of millions. If you enjoyed Bohemian Rhapsody and Rocket Man, then you'll find just as much enjoyment in this film as it sits in a similar vein. Just don't go in expecting it to cover all the darker parts of his life, or anything that hasn't already been put to film before. It touches on them, but very briefly. Overall, I'd say it's a solid movie with a lead that absolutely killed it, and I wouldn't mind buying it on Blu-ray when it comes out. I still have no idea what the fuck a snowman is though.